Welcome back to Bare Knuckle 3 Director's Cut. Well, it's the name of the hack, so...
Yeah.
Check romhacking.net, everybody, if you want to play this as well. If you know how to use Lunar IPS Patcher, it's a very easy. Usually I use Flips. I don't use Lunar because Lunar tends to screw up on my end. Let me actually get the actual name just in case.
Previously on the adventures of Spaghetti Head and Bold Hulk Hogan, we fought.
Bold Hulk Hogan.
I'm not seeing that, Dweebs. His mustache is actually different than the beardo that Hulk Hogan has.
I mean, Zan doesn't even look even remotely like Hulk Hogan.
like as I mentioned, like the closest thing.
I can see what he means, Teo. I can actually see what he means, Teo, like because of the face and mustache. But at the same time, the rest of his sprite is so unlike that it doesn't really work.
Jesus.
Let me just there we go. What I recommend everybody is using floating IPS, the floating IPS program. Not the most people use the Lunar IPS program. However, for some reason it doesn't work with me. But by all means, if Lunar doesn't work with you, use floating IPS or Flips as for short, basically. That's what that's what typically used for me when it comes to hacking these old ROMs. So in the meantime, yeah, we're beating Carlos and Garcia.
My video buffered. What time are you guys at?
Go to
140, 41, 42.
Alright. I'm at 203.
Alright, you're gonna have to wait a bit then. Well, that's not that much going on anyway.
Watch out for the vehicles.
That's a vintage. That's not even vehicles. They're more like, I don't know what they are, but...
Well, hold on. The first canteen drove, I have an explanation.
And... click.
This is basically a storage warehouse, so these are the things that are used to, take the cargo from one place to another.
I guess.
Oh, those subways?
I guess.
Oh, right. It's a bit of a shipping yard of sorts.
Yeah, I guess it just works like that.
It just works too.
Hey, Garnet.
Look at that sexy movement, Gloria.
Wow,
Gloria.
Wow, Jover, I haven't seen Steven Universe in a while. What the hell happened?
Well, don't gems have the ability to assume any appearance they want?
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
Exactly, Liz, man.
Yes.
How?
Garnet just decided that 4 was more convenient. I don't know.
I guess.
I don't know why Garnet decided when to join a criminal syndicate, but, not questioning the choice, I guess.
Apparently a Diamond did as well, since one of them's called Diamond. And Ruby apparently decided to join and added a B onto her name.
So yeah, basically, oh god, I hate these. I hate these types of these specific female characters because they're so annoying. Because you'll beat them the crap out. Unfortunately, like a lot of, again, just like in the first. There we go. See, just like in the first game, they'll do that little thing, and we have to wait until they're done with that. It's annoying.
They get up.
Jesus Christ.
It's kind of funny because back then, instead, remember the DSRB had not been. Oh, hold on.
Well, it has nothing to do with that, too.
I was getting to it. Also, Mifune, these guys look like Destroy Man from No More Heroes, but no, the SRB was not being created, but a lot of contentious, discussion was about instead, some companies doing something to alter female characters in the arcade games because they would have been perceived, violence against women and all. Never mind the fact that, the solutions that they come up usually were potentially even worse. And to this day, yeah, it's something that has aged like spoiled milk. An example being Final Fight, for example, but more on to when the actual game will roll out.
Indeed.
But yeah, for this case, it was just I guess she freaks you out, but not even that. She just has a recovery animation that has her wait for a second.
You'd think with the third, by the time they were making the third game, they would have realized that shit is annoying. Where it's like if the game paused for like a couple seconds, it's not challenging, it's not fun, it's just tedious. Where the enemy will just kneel, and I have to wait a couple seconds before I can hit it again.
Doesn't even make too much sense because this was an arcade port. This was a pure Genesis experience.
Yeah, this was made specifically for the Mega Drive. It never the first. I don't know. I don't remember if the second game got an arcade port. But
I'll just check just to be sure.
But I'm sure. I think the third one definitely never came out on arcades.
Also, this track is very peculiar.
Also, what the hell's with the music?
Yeah, I was mentioning that.
You completely missed the chicken dinner.
What happened? Did Yuzukashiru sit on the keyboard?
Just said, yeah, let's go with that. Oh, who's this? Oh, right, Axel. Oh, actually, let me see the name of the enemy.
Yamato.
Yeah,
I guess we have some guesses from the Shinobi series, which in itself has a very schizophrenic release in terms of product, because the first most of the early games actually were only almost arcade only. We had like a port on the Master System, I guess. But the most known one is Shinobi 3, of course. And then there's the one on the Saturn that we've mentioned, Shinobi X. But anyway, let me just check. Now, Streets of Rage 3 was purely made for the Genesis Mega Drive. But here's the interesting thing. Streets of Rage 1 had a global release on the Game Gear and a European-only Master System version. After being, and then eventually it was put on the 3DS Virtual Console. I don't know why it specifically made say like that. Streets of Rage 2 had, other than the Mega Drive Genesis, only a North American exclusive Game Gear version. And that's it.
Wow.
These releases are weird.
Yes,
I can see that. Huh.
It's weird, like, if the 8-bit version for one system was, perfectly functional, why not release it globally on the other as well? Sega only literally had to crunch the screen for the Game Gear version, and that was it.
I can't begin to tell you what.
Considering also the alterations that they gave to just the Genesis Mega Drive version, I get the feeling that someone at Sega of America or Japan dictating to Sega of America had a very specific vision, and it was bizarre.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you that this guy Yamato, he definitely reminds me a lot of a boss from Revenge of Shinobi. There we go.
Okay. What?
And he explodes.
He blew himself up.
What is this Metal Gear?
Apparently.
Don't you see?
And
He committed honorable suicide with an explosion.
Yes, the new form of pseudo.
Man, you know why they took the general, don't you? How are they planning to use him to bring harm to Wood Oak City?
I don't know anything for certain. Well, then what good are you then?
Is that really the truth?
yes, I don't know anything.
Can you imagine another beam of light engulfing Wood Oak City? A terrible radioactive beam.
What?
One which causes the death of untold thousands of people.
Oh my god!
Is that the sort of truth you would prefer to hear?
What the fuck? Well then, it's
your face.
not just that. Well then, it's a war they want. They are trying to start a war between the Lama nations, so they can supply them with Rakushin.
Is he winking in that portrait?
Therefore, the general's opposition to the war made him an obstacle.
Yours looking.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay, and I thought Suguru Kamishita was a scum was a weird line.
It's
There's a bit of a difference between, creepy teacher that molests his own student and terrorist organization that wants literally to nuke cities with a new experimental element.
I was talking about the weird translation of the lines.
Yeah.
Oh, not just that. The Axel face became distorted in that portrait.
It's they're trying to make him look angry, but like something went wrong there.
Uncanny Valley effect.
Which is weird. It's a sprite. Sprites shouldn't have uncanny valley factor. That doesn't even make any sense.
It was a way to make the portrait of a face, making it overly detailed. I think that was it.
I guess.
I can sort of see why that could have uncanny valley. From the 8-bit and 16-bit genre stuff that was supposed to look more detailed could look uncanny in a sense because of the pixelation factor.
It's and yes, before you guys ask, yes, that's basically the primary character type interaction we get. It's the characters constantly doubting Zen's loyalty, and this goes absolutely nowhere. This is the writer's idea of conflict, I guess.
It is interesting to see the Syndicate. It is interesting seeing the Syndicate stepping up their game and basically just from controlling the city to just say fuck it, let's just create World War III with this new experimental bomb with this new element, and let's kidnap and potentially kill everyone who potentially opposes to this. But yeah, it could have been conveyed better. Like most stuff it's told to us. It was nice to actually have the visual idea when actually is describing the ideal scenario, Woodlock City exploding from the Rapsinium, But there should be just a bit more of that.
Now, to Axel and Company's credit in regards to doubting Zen, to be fair, the Syndicate has made their lives absolute hell, so I can see why they would be maybe a bit paranoid with a guy who says, hey, I decided to leave all of a sudden, let me join you.
Well, yeah,
we believe you.
Well, if you're so concerned that he's tricking you, why did you even allow him to come with you to begin with then?
Well, because times are desperate and they're kind of trying to tap him for information still.
And I think Zen is basically the only lead that they have in how to track back probably the higher-ups of the Syndicate.
It's just the problem. This game tried to tell a story that's a bit too complicated for the kind of game that it is.
It wanted to have the cake and eat it too. That's I think is the problem.
I wouldn't say that it's a game too complicated for the type of game this is, because beat-em-ups can have more fleshed-out stories. I think the problem was the time this game was made, though. Okay, to be fair, I do see a lot of interesting ideas here, and in a way, I can see them also getting more stressed as the pressure's put on them. What with Axel being framed, courtesy of the Syndicate as well, that would be good reason for them to get all the more stressed out with Zen. I think the problem is that for the time this game was made, the production values had to be focused on either the gameplay or the story, and well, kind of obvious which took the priority for this game here and there. That's not to say that they couldn't have had more story here, but for beat 'em ups of the time, I could see why they would have to focus on this or that. Maybe this game were made maybe in the 5th gen of gaming, then we could have had a bit more focus.
Yeah. You mean PS2, Xbox, GameCube?
No. A 5th gen is PlayStation, Nintendo 64 and Sega Saturn.
Because if you don't remember, Jova, doing the X one, the 6th one instead, games like Final Fight and the new releases, but the plot that they had was so asinine that it basically killed the franchise. Remember that game where Cody becomes a fucking mutant at the end? What was with that?
Was that Final Fight Street Wars?
I think it is. It was the one for the PS2, the one that killed the franchise.
Go figure. Okay. I say the 5th gen because around the time of PlayStation PlayStation and Nintendo 64, we were seeing 3D versions of games which could also have fleshed out stories here and there. Like Zelda got Ocarina of Time. There was stuff like Metal Gear Solid, which really ramped up story production stuff on the PlayStation. Like the 5th gen was really where we were starting to see a much better mix of story and gameplay.
Well, that's exactly my point, though, Jova.
Across all genres.
That's exactly my point, though, Jova. I think these developers they should have kept the story simpler. And when they made this game, like they should have, if they wanted to tell a more interesting story, they should have said this for Streets of Rage 4 on a Saturn or something.
Honestly, I don't really mind the attempt at a more complex story, seeing as how it's kind of par the course for Games of the Year, so I guess it doesn't bug me as much, but I can definitely agree with you that it can seem a bit, jarring at first here and there.
It's just because of the fact that they want to convey all this stuff, but at the same time they don't really have enough cutscenes because they still want to keep the game focused enough. So it's really a tricky balance that they're trying to achieve that doesn't really quite work for me. Yes, too.
Actually, I haven't checked. What's the scope of a plot of Streets of Rage 4?
I haven't actually gotten around to it yet, so I don't know.
Oh wait, what do you mean? Like in terms of how high the stakes are, or the story
in general? Being a sequel and all, I don't mean it has to be more escalation because, well, where do you go from here? But in terms of managing to have the plot being told in a better way than this, and what's the term? Well,
more coherent.
Yeah, not just that. The fact that the game it manages to fit the game VCs, similar to what Pedro was saying, that it doesn't overshadows, what you're doing essentially.
I haven't gotten around to.
Sorry, go on.
I haven't gotten around to playing the game, but from what I've seen, I can definitely tell that it uses its higher production values to its advantage. Now, if it tells this complex a story, that I'm not sure of, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. And from what I've heard about the antagonists here and there definitely does seem to be some story basing, considering how vengeance seems to be a topic. Oh, son of a gun. Mr. X!
Long time no see.
Hi, you got here quickly, Alex. Welcome,
Axel.
Gentlemen and ladies. I'd intended to flesh out my plans before you arrived. Have you found my efforts entertaining so far? No. Enough boasting! What have you done with General Petrov? For that matter, you needn't be concerned about it. I've already done you the favor of releasing him. But of course, that was our counterfeit, General.
Dun, dun, dun.
You son of a...
Axel, stop being angry.
My, please calm
Exactly. Listen to what Mr. X says.
I didn't say that I disposed of him, now did I? However, whether you'll see him again or not depends on you.
And we're back here.
Alright, so let's see how it goes now that we're playing on normal mode.
So once again, we face off against the ugly visage of Mr. X. Giant guy who uses Tommy gun more often.
Mr. X, we really need to stop meeting each other like this.
At the top of a tall building that we could easily throw you out of.
You need to plan things out. Create a profile on Tinder,
How did he survive that?
Doesn't exist yet.
Sorry, Jova.
Geese Howard should take some notes from him on how to survive falls from tall
Falling off a
buildings.
building, yeah. I can at this point, how many buildings have Geese Howard fall from? Like,
too many to count, including that one he fell out of trying to get that Smash invitation. And failing spectacularly.
So let's see how this goes.
That's also another thing of beaten us that I don't think I talked that much about, or if I did, it maybe was passing through. The off-screen enemy decay, in a sense that the round is not technically over if the enemy is still alive, of course. But when you knock down enemies off the borders of the screen, it may be happen that they just stand there for a second, just waiting, instead of actually getting back into it immediately. Therefore, you cannot touch them. You just have to sit your ass there and wait for them to come back. Worst case instead is that when an enemy takes advantage of that and starts attacking you from a position where it cannot be, attacked back.
So
it
yeah,
can get very annoying.
So yeah, turns like I said before, turns out Mr. X did not actually mysteriously come back to life this time. He's just a robot duplicate made by someone. Who could it
But
be?
whom?
Well, I guess a member of our own team is going to betray us.
No, Dwebs. For as much as they're trying to... Oh god, there's an echo.
Dibs.
Thank you.
Oh, my window's closed.
Whatever. We're done.
Kaboom!
And
Oh, and these clothes evaporated.
There we go.
Dr. Zan, I have splendid news for you. I've arranged for your research results to be implemented shortly. It is however a shame you won't live to see it. That's because you will perish from poison gas with the General.
If we destroy the 2 barrier control units in the rooms here, we should be able to rescue the General. Let's go.
Then there's no time to waste.
Basically,
No time to waste.
actually, that's exactly it, Teo. Because like
Oh, you went on a counter there.
like Mr. X or sorry, Robo X said, there's that timer right there. It's on 66 right now. When it does finally reach 0, poison gas will start draining your life. So basically, you have 2 ways to beat this level. You either race straight to the goal to save yourself, or you need to rescue General Petrov so you can get the best ending.
well, there's a third option.
And that is.
Die from the poison gas and get the bad ending.
Unfortunately, the bad ending can only be obtained on easy mode in the Western version of the game.
Huh. And even then, in that version, apparently Mr. X was behind it all.
Well, that's exactly the point, Jova. Like that Western exclusive bad ending is not canon, so it doesn't really matter. Mr.
Wow.
Mr.
Those are
Anderson.
some. Those
Does Streets
are
of Rage
some-
4 make any reference to this?
There you go, gold. No, I
We
don't.
don't know,
Yes.
Dweebs.
I don't know.
Okay,
Yet. I don't know yet. Dibs, I haven't
Short
played it.
answer. Short answer, yes.
Well, remember the plot of the opposite of that game is that the Wise sisters want to avenge their father, so probably there's something involved.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like I said, that guy was named Gold, and the other one was called Bronze, I think. So
Those
yeah,
are some dedicated henchmen, considering how they'll probably die if we don't
they're agent,
shut down that.
they're agents. Mr. Stone.
Okay, got the money in apples. Let's go.
So yeah, basically the way this level works is it kind of works like a search. Like you have to search for the floors to see if you can find the specific 2 control rooms that have computers that you need to beat the shit out of to make them explode, so you can eliminate that bear that we just saw. There you go. One of them is here. That way, when we
Fortunately, so are a heck ton of mooks.
it's called Switchboard. However, the people who made this game don't know English, so it's called Swishboard in that sign.
It's German, Pedro.
Whatever. The point is, you have to destroy both of those things, and that way that bear that we just saw earlier will disappear, and we'll be able to rescue General Petrov.
So, is it random each time you play?
No, they're always in the same place. Fortunately. So basically, what you have to do is basically this. However, first off, we're gonna show off the bad ending.
All right.
Well, not so bad ending. Okay, there's 2 types of good endings: the mostly good ending and the completely good ending. Because there's also you can still have a good ending without the general, but however, if you need to save the general for a complete super duper awesome happily ever after ending. So
Now we have Metal Gear units.
yes. Well, actually, these look a bit more like those things from the RoboCop movies. Actually,
Oh, at 209.
yeah. Put down your weapon. You have 20 seconds to comply.
So it's like at 209 then.
Yeah.
Halt. Present hall pass. Second request. Present hall pass. Alright. There you go. Or P3 as it's actually called here. P3. I'm guessing the other ones were 2 and 1. And beat the agents again. Agents gold and agent silver.
Every time they respawn.
Gold and silver.
There you go. Take that, Gen 2. Alright. So let's see if we can find the second switch. Let's see. How's our timer, by the way? We haven't seen the timer in a bit. I think it shows up. There you go. It's on
24.
23.
23.
So yeah, basically this ending is so basically this level can be a bit tricky if you don't know in advance where the things are. So you be sure to be quick. The problem is, in order to enter one of these rooms, you have to first defeat the enemies that are around you. So unfortunately, it's not as simple as just running past the rooms. There you go. There you go. Now that there's
any room.
There-
Thank God
There's the
for
other
that one.
computer.
all right. So I've shown you where the switches are. However, we will not be saving the general. We're going to now, after beating this switchboard, we're going to run the fuck out.
So it's like Suburban Commander. We're just going to leave him there to die.
Exactly, Dweps. We'll come back to this on part 3.
Well, Dibs, you did say that Zan looked a bit like Hulk Hogan. Why not?
Going up,
Yes.
going down.
Never mind that Sega related, in that movie, he couldn't understand that Afterburner was not a space shooter.
Sorry, Liz, but in this game we cannot kill people with envelopes.
Ah.
All right.
Coming down.
Yes. Very good. There you go. This is the place where you're supposed to go through after you defeat the general, after you've saved the general.
However, there's even 3 escape.
Yeah, and by the way, this is actually a problem with the director's cut, because unfortunately the director's cut hack was left unfinished. They managed to finish things out. They just didn't bother. They just didn't finish the bug fixing all the way up until the axe is mostly functional. However, when you're trying to fight enemies in that particular room we just went through, the frame rate does kind of shit the bed.
Well.
And now poisonous gas is being released and we're losing health.
Fortunately,
Quickly.
it's only in that room, so it's not that big a deal. It's still a good trade-off.
And there you go. You even have a health bar for the general.
Yeah, so basically, as you can see now, the general even has a health bar, so you're supposed to find him and see where it is. Remember that barrier we saw earlier in the top floor? That's where he is, right after that barrier. However, I don't want to shut off the best ending yet, so let's go with this other ending first. I want to save the best ending for last.
Hello.
Oh,
It's you again.
Oh, great! Not 2, but 3 of them! Don't...
Rocket.
Rocket and the other
guy.
Jet.
It's still him.
Yeah, it's Jet, except that's the thing.
he's older now.
That's the thing.
He looks a bit like Solo from Strider now.
That's the thing. Rocket Rocket doesn't look like the Jet from Streets of Rage 2, but Jet doesn't look at all like the Jet from Streets of Rage 2, but Rocket looks like Jet. So.
Let me guess. Jet got older, that's why he's bald now, and Rocket is probably his descendant.
Or apprentices or stuff like that.
I guess, but that would beg the question, how old is Axel at this point, considering how long he's been fighting these people?
Well, Jet
well.
was like, we did defeated Jet in the previous game. You can argue the boldness and everything is because, operating with a jetpack, like, it decombusted all this air.
I mean,
True. Maybe that happened. Maybe... Yeah. Maybe what happened to Jet was like, the rocket combusted, that burned off his hair, and then the rocket.
And also why needs the respirator thingy.
It could be either that. It could be either that, or the developer screwed up the names. That could also be it.
I'm gonna go with the whole, burning up thing since that kind of makes more sense.
So yeah, if you manage to beat
snap.
Jet before the others, Axel will show up here with his helicopter and shoot them all. There you go.
Instead, we have here.
Yo,
Well, actually, I was Axel in Rage. Actually, we didn't know. Well, you're already Axel, so let me be Adam anyway. Sorry, let me be Adam anyway, since you're already Axel. I think maybe I got a little carried away. I figured I'd been on the sidelines long enough.
oh yeah.
However, I will however, I will only come back in the next game 20 years from now.
Adam, have you found the Syndicate's hidden base?
Aren't we missing somebody?
We detected wreckage and emissions in the grid. Oh yeah, I forgot how I edited this. Never mind. Yeah, never mind. We're going straight for the. I edited back in from different footage. There's the general right there. Sorry. Don't worry. I'll still show. Don't worry. I'll still show actual rescuing in third part. That much I remember. Just remember, I'll never forgive you if you don't come out. The basic point is, turns out Adam found out where the transmissions about the framing Axel come from. They come from a specific place that someone is apparently supposed to make some kind of speech. So we're going there to basically try to crash their party and shit. That's the
With no
basic.
survivors.
So don't worry about that.
Alright then.
So tune in next time where we finish the game.
Yeah.
See you then.
See ya.